Here in Shanghai, we're getting ready for race 2 of the weekend, round 10 of the championship in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia for 2018. The grid is formed. We had a race yesterday which was rather dominated by the Lazio Racing returning entry of Afik Yazid and Keiko Zelino, last year's champions. They joined in once more at Fuji last time out, won both races there, and have carried on the winning ways to here. Another competitive car yesterday was this of Benga Sikowski and Richard Muscat. And that lines up for this race on the outside of the 4th row of the grid. It's going to be Richard Muscat who starts, having taken a race win this year. Benga Sikowski, a double winner. And there is the car on pole position, which is in the hands of Afik Yazid to do the opening stint. And Keiko Zelino will take that car over. David Addison trackside. It's a 50-minute race, mandatory pit stops. And we look forward then to the race getting underway in about 5 minutes' time. The grid will be cleared shortly. We'll have the traditional rolling start. And then to get things underway. 33 on the outside of the front row is the car in the hands of Yuso Puhaka. He will start. Again, the way the regulations work out is that you start the race for which you've done the qualifying session. So these drivers finished yesterday's race. Their co-driver started, having set the time. Today you switch over. So Yuso Puhaka, sharing with Mikko Eskelinen, is on the outside of the second row, on the outside of the front row, on the second row of the grid. Number 63, the car of Arturo Janos, which he shares with the very rapid former European champion, the Italian driver Andrea Amici. And that's on the outside of row 2, on the inside of which is Max Weiser. There it is, number 98, which is the car the Italian driver shares with Kumar Prabhakaran in his first season of racing. Max Weiser is a more experienced driver. He's the quicker, but Kumar Prabhakaran is getting better and better all the time. There also on the grid is 68, which is Evan Chen. He will go first in the Gamma racing car. Evan Chen, the Taipei driver, shares with Akihiro Asai, Japanese driver, in what is a really cosmopolitan field. The entry 14 strong for this final Asian race, not the last rounds of the championship, because they go to Europe for the last 2 races. The tradition is that there's the Lamborghini World Final. This year it's at Vallelunga in Italy. You're looking down onto the grid there at the car of Jack Bartholomew and James Poole. That lines up 6th. It's James Poole who will go first. James, former Formula 4, Formula 3 racer in the UK. Jack Bartholomew also came out of the MSV Formula 4 Championship, but is the Middle East Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion already. That runs at Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the winter months, European winter months of February, March. Jack Bartholomew already crowned as champion. 38 on the grid is a car that yesterday was biffed into a spin. Takeshi Matsumoto and Toshiyuki Ochiai, the 2 drivers. Ochiai will go first, double winner in Pro-Am this year. And then alongside is a Richard Muscat Leipert Motorsport car that's had quite a lot of bad luck, but equally, Benga Sikowski has taken his 2 race wins, one with Richard Muscat, the other with Frederick Scharndorf. There is the familiar Wilson Securities colours, familiar if you follow Australian supercar racing, for example. Richard Muscat, very much a Porsche specialist in his early days, but now adapting well to Lamborghinis, and Benga Sikowski, who's spent a season racing in Europe before 2 years now in the Asian Championship. Clement Lee was the winner of the AM category yesterday for the 6th time, sharing with Paul Wong. He lines up 9th on the grid. And then 10th is the Thai driver, Sutiluk Buncharoen, or Bobby Sutiluk, as he prefers to be known, but Sutiluk Buncharoen is the Thai driver's full title, and he will go from 10th. He's had 3 class wins this year, getting better and better all the time. 11th on the grid is the Italian driver, Gabriele Moroni, who has taken within the Lamborghini Cup 3 class wins this season. Alongside him is Bian Ho in the car that he shares with Chao Pan. They were winners for the first time yesterday in the AM category. Then you've got at the back of the grid Song Yang Fu, who is the man behind the FFF racing team, of which there are 3 representatives on this grid, and the grid is completed by number 30, which is the car of YH Racing Team, Takamichi Masuda and Dai Yoshihara, the 2 drivers, and it is Matsuda that will go first. So the race director has had a word with Keiko Zelino and Afik Yazid about how to treat this race, especially Afik Yazid, because he's going to be the man behind the wheel for the rolling start. Alongside him is Yuso Puhaka, then the Finn, who has come from single-seater racing into Lamborghinis for this season. The cars now get ready to accelerate away. The pace car as it is, accelerates clear to give the race cars a chance to then play catch-up as the lights now go to green and the field accelerates away. So the orange and white Lazio racing car, Afik Yazid at the wheel, the young Malaysian driver who was the runner-up in the JK Racing Asia Championship a few years back. He's raced in Formula Masters China, so he knows this circuit. He's raced successfully in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, being the overall champion. He's also raced in the Sepang 12 Hours as the class winner, and this year has been racing largely in the Asian Le Mans Series. That's been the focus, but coming back to Super Trofeo, and if they go to the World Finals, I suspect that he and Keiko Zalino would have a realistic chance of winning that this season. On the outside of the front row, Yuso Puhaka, number 33, the former Carter, who went into Formula Renault 1.6, Formula 4 in Spain, and then last year in the SMP run, Formula 4 North European Zone Championship that runs in Finland and Estonia and Russia. And Juuso Puhaka joining fellow Finn Mikko Eskelinen, racer, rallier, in the Mad Croc energy drink-backed car. On the second row of the grid, Massimiliano Weisse, who's doing double duty here because he's also in the Blancpain GT Series Asia races that are here. And Max Weisse from Carrera Cup Asia through Lamborghini's China GT, Blancpain GT Series Asia, knows this area, knows these circuits really well, and he's going to be one to watch, I suspect, in the opening stint in this race. And then you've got alongside him Artur Janos, former Formula 3 racer in the Euro Formula 3 Open. He raced in GP3 for a couple of seasons and then came into Lamborghini racing last year, runner-up in this championship. There's number 19 going through, which is the car started by James Pull. He's going to be alongside Evan Chen, who was last year's Carrera Cup Asia Pro-Am champion, but James Pull in number 19, lining up on the outside of the third row of the grid. Started off, because he was born in this area, in the Far East, racing in karts in Malaysia and Singapore, but then back in the UK, drove in the MSA Formula, as it was then called, which has now become Formula 4. He raced to fourth place in that championship, then went into the MSV operated Formula 3 series for the non-FIA spec cars. He was the runner-up in that last year and drove at the winter in the Toyota Racing Series down in New Zealand, and has raced in some, but not all, of the Middle East rounds before coming into the Asian Championship and also the European Championship this season. So James Pull has had a busy Lamborghini season, but the wins perhaps have not come in the way that he would have liked in tough competition. So we'll see what he and Jack Bartholomew can do in this race. On the 7th slot on the grid, 38, is the car of Takeshi Matsumoto, former single-seater racer in Japan, sharing with Toshiyuki Ochiai, who was the Pro-Am champion in this series 2 years ago. And lining up alongside is Richard Muscat, former Porsche racer, supercar racer, Australian GT racer. And he will be on the 8th slot on the grid. We're getting ready for the start of the 10th round of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. As I say, it's the last race that the championship has on the Asian continent, because it will move to Europe. It will go to Vallelunga for the final two races as part of the very, very popular Lamborghini World Final weekend. But let us see what the championship looks like when they get there, because the cars now turn their way into turn number 16. It is Afik Yazid, the man on pole position. Let's see now who is going to make the best start then, as the cars get set to accelerate their way up towards the timing line. If the race director is happy, he will put the lights to green and we will go racing. It's a long drag down towards the start line. They go racing now. Richard Muscat's on his toes in the blue and white Lippert car from further back, but it's the Lippert car on the outside of the front row, teammate Juuso Puhaka, that grabs the advantage around the outside. There goes Artur Janos in the black car. Afik Yazid drops to third then, as they turn their way around turn 1. You're climbing uphill at this point. You get to the very top and then you plunge downhill here, heading through turn 2 into turn 3. Puhaka it is that leads the way then. Second is Janos. Third, it is Afik Yazid, and then everybody else trying to be fourth, as Richard Muscat gets up on the inside there, putting himself alongside Max Weisse, who is in the mix as well, as they climb the hill up towards turn 6 now. The hairpin at the top of the lap. So Puhaka it is then, the race leader, also the Pro-Am Championship leader, and blasting down the hill now, up front. Second, the Pro Championship leaders, Andrea Amici and Artur Janos. It is Janos at the wheel, and a good start, putting that car up into second place. Afik Yazid drops to third. Now, Yazid is, with Keiko Zalino, no major threat to the championship, but mathematically they could still do it if they keep winning and the others have bad luck. So it's important that that car gets points. Then you've got the Richard Muscat Wilson Security Lippert car running fourth. Max Weisse is fifth, and in fact James Pull in sixth as they come out of turn 10 now. along the short straight. It's another bit of a climb here, gentle one, through 11 into 12, and then the road loops around out of this banked 13 corner. And you'll see in a moment on the next shot just how much of a camber there is, because the cars run right up to the edge on the curbing. Now it kind of settles, but it's a real old bank that on the outside line, as now they blast down towards the hairpin at turn 14, which is actually tighter than it looks on television, because it goes into a kink which kind of makes the corner open up, but the actual hairpin itself is a very tight one. There then is the leader, Yusuf Pohaka, leaving the door open. Archer Janos gets up the inside for the race lead, and Afik Yazid tries to buy into it as well. Muscat runs fourth, fifth it's Max Weiser, and Archer Janos goes to the inside line, but the Pro-Am entry will hang on to a lead at the end of lap one. Up towards the timing line they come now. Good start made here by Yusuf Pohaka. He had a really good charge in his stint in the race yesterday to play catch-up and win the class, and he leads as they dive down towards turn one. Archer Janos is in second place, Afik Yazid is third, Richard Muscat fourth, up from eighth on the grid. And then in fifth place it is Max Weiser, sixth is James Pull, and Janos goes wide there, going out of turn one into turn two. That enables the race leader, Yusuf Pohaka, just to extend the advantage ever so slightly. It also means that Afik Yazid closes up and puts the pressure on as they make the run up now through turns 4 and 5, past the short circuit approach, and then into the hairpin at turn 6. It's the full version of the Grand Prix circuit here, the international circuit at Shanghai being used this weekend, which gives these glorious sounding cars a real chance to stretch their legs. Downhill, heading now into the 7-8 sweep. Yusuf Pohaka getting away. In second place, Archer Janos. In third, Afik Yazid, and Richard Muscat actually now is just dropping off the back ever so slightly. Through they turn for this, the second time of asking. It's 50 minutes, mandatory pit stops between 20 and 30. And the time differs whether you're on your own or whether you have a co-driver. Now, the race start is under investigation. Does that mean that one or two drivers were out of position or a little bit keen on their toes? Either way, it is being looked at by the race officials. Leaders, in the meantime, wriggle their way up towards turn 12. This lap number 2, 46 minutes of the race still to go. Max Weiser trying to stay on the back of Richard Muscat. Further back, Evan Chen trying to live on the back of James Pull. James, 6th overall, actually dropped to the back of the Pro class for the moment. Class leaders, well, you can see who's leading Pro-Am. It's Pohaka, the overall leader. The leading Pro is behind him, Archer Janos, and off the road there goes Max Weiser, right the way around at turn 14. Gets going again, but that was a big moment, because that's a very, very fast part of the circuit to a very heavy braking zone. Around has gone Max Weiser, he rejoins. And the fact that he does get going again suggests that it's a mistake, not a failure. Jack Bartholomew watching on from the pit garages as over the line goes Yusuf Pohaka. Janos is now 11/10 back in second place. Afik Yazid third ahead of Richard Muscat. Here's the replay then. Down towards the hairpin. And you can see in the background, Max Weiser hits the brakes and the car just suddenly gets away from him. Very, very sudden. And he's onto the grass straight away. It pirouettes, but he did a good job somehow of keeping that off the wall. So we're almost at the end of the first 5 minutes of the race now, and the lead margin 11/10. Pohaka to Janos. A drive-through penalty for the race leader for a false start. Yusuf Pohaka is being given a drive-through penalty. A false start, slightly out of position then, and a false start penalty. A drive-through goes to this car that leads in Pro-Am in the race and in the championship by 2 points. Mikko Escalanen and Yusuf Pohaka, the man behind the wheel, the man that's committed the crime, getting this drive-through penalty. Now, in a 44 minutes remaining race, there is time to buy back some places. You never know, there might be another safety car period. And there's liquid coming out of the Lazio car by the look of it. In third place, Afik Yazid. Let's keep an eye to that and see whether it becomes a problem. But the leader has an issue, and it's this penalty that will plummet the car down the order. The other worry is Pohaka is quicker than Escalanen, so time lost now is really going to stack up late in the race. There, number 63, Archer Janos, carrying the Roger Dubois colours. The watch on the side, partner to the championship, comes in this Evo version of the Huracan, out of turn 13, up the banking, over the curb. Richard Muscat, who really pushed on nicely yesterday to get into second place, not for the moment making the progress. He's kind of plateaued a bit now after that good start. Gap back James Pull is in fifth, and now over at Leipert, the message has to get through. Chaz Cleland on the pit wall, looking at the data and studying what goes on to pass on the information. So there you've got 33, Yusup Pohaka, the leader, he'll get the message, and then you've got 3 passings of the timing line before you are in hot water if you've not served it. Through he goes in the lead of the race, and the gap's coming down anyway now, just to add to his woes. 9/10 rather than over a second is the margin. Pohaka to Janos. In third is Yazid. In fourth is Muscat. Paul, Chen and Ochiai are in 5th, 6th and 7th. In 8th place going through now is Max Weiser, so recovering after the spin, he's gained 1 place. Then in 9th, Sujaluk Charan, and down to 10th has gone Clement Lee. 11th is Gabriele Moroni. 12th is Bian Ho. 13th now in number 30 is Takemichi Matsuda, and it is Song Yang Fu who is at the back of the field. So in the Leipert pit there is some concern. In the FFF Racing Team pit bunker there's a bit more optimism now, because Archio Janos is going to inherit the race lead in this car that he shares with Andrea Amici. There are the 3 leading cars going through. Richard Muscat now in 4th place, dropping back a little bit. His last lap was 3/10 down on the man that he's chasing. Through goes 38, which is Ochiai. Toshiyuki Ochiai, double winner this year in Pro-Am, but was biffed into a spin yesterday, which rather compromised the challenge. Number 68 is Evan Chen coming through turn 7 into turn 8. And up front, that leading gap to the eye is coming down. It's almost like Pohaka has had the fight sucked out of him here. But now Archio Janos is certainly pushing, certainly closing. Race leaders come through. We're on lap 4. Yesterday's race that was drama-free, no safety cars I should say, that managed to get to 23 laps, so that's the target here. But Yusup Pohaka on borrowed time up front. As I say, he's going to have to serve this drive-through penalty. Down he comes. You can see the gap is closing all the time now. Archio Janos inching up onto the tail of him as they turn out of the right-hander at turn 14. Back on the power. The road opens up a little bit with that kink, but effectively it's 1 corner, and then you move across, get your line for turn 16. You'll see when we get to the pit window, people look like they're braking ludicrously late for that corner, but that's because the pit in is on the outside of the corner, so you can actually accelerate for longer up the straight and then have to come around the pit entry line. Leaders go through, and the leading 3 now covered by 2 seconds, but the leading gap is coming down. Jack Bartholomew looks on. Battles go on lower down the order as well, because there, look, getting up around the outside, James Poole coming under attack from Evan Chen. This is the 5th place, and James Poole goes deep into the corner. Evan Chen, the Pro-Am driver, will go through, will he? Yes, he will. James Poole doesn't stand his ground on the inside line. He gets up the curb, but Evan Chen goes ahead of him, runs a little bit wide, but he's going to be in the right place now. He's got the right line all the way up towards turn 6. James Poole tries to fight back there, but it's not going to work for him, is it? Brakes hard on the outside line into turn 6. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Round the outside goes James Poole, gets the power down, and now Poole's clear. So James gets the place back, lost it at turn 1, recovers it at turn 6, and he had to work very, very hard for that. The cars drop then down through the sweeps, turn 7 and 8, speed building all the time at this point. And then you've got the heavy braking zone into 9 and 10, that short straight connecting the 2 corners. So James Poole, 1 down and 1 up, gains the place back again, but of course all of that squabbling means he's even further away now from the leading gaggle. I'm still looking to see about this drive-through penalty for Pohaka. The boards are there. The information is on the timing screen. So the Mad Croc car should be in this time. James Poole hustling on, almost spurred into action, because having got the place back again from Evan Chen, he's trying to pull away, isn't he? There are the leaders. James Poole in the background in 5th place once more, running up the curb on the banking, coming out of turn 13. So Pohaka leads the way, yet to serve the drive-through penalty. Comes down to the hairpin at turn 14 through that right-hander. And now on the power, climbs his way out of the corner, heads towards turn 16, but this time it should be the pit lane, and it is. The leader is in, not for the regulation pit stop, but the penalty pit stop. Heads down that pit lane, into the lead, then goes Archio Janos, into 2nd place goes Afik Yazid. A 2.5 seconds between them. It's going to be interesting in the second part of the race now, pitching Amici against Cozzolino. Then in 3rd place it will become Richard Muscat there, ahead of James Poole. Evan Chen is next. Where will Yusup Pohaka rejoin? Because of the longer pit lane in, he was 3rd when he crossed the timing line this time. Accelerates away. He's going to be ahead just of Susuluk Buncharawan, so he will go 8th. So first he was, 8th he will be. He's lost about 20 seconds there because of that drive-through penalty. So there, car 63, the leading car. Artur Janos makes the run on this lap number 6 of the race. And news getting through to the teams in the pit lane about the pace of the car, what you need to do in your stint. Jack Bartholomew being told exactly what James Pool's lap times are like, what feedback there is, and hoping to take that into the second part of the race. Andrea Amici will be getting the same information as well from his crew within FFF Racing Team. So the leaders currently work lap number 6. The pit window opens in about 8 minutes, give or take. And there you have got the Richard Muscat car in 4th. So, third now. 4th at the start of his lap, but 3rd because of the penalty for Pohaka. So he's gained that place. And you can see that Richard Muscat is pushing on, way up the curb, coming out of turn 13. Now, can James Pool gain any ground back? Let's see. Fastest lap of the race, incidentally, done by Yusup Pohaka before the penalty struck. There is Afik Yazid coming down now into the right-hander of turn 14. Through the hairpin he goes now. Over the line goes the leader. Artur Janos put 6 laps in the book. And Afik Yazid is losing touch. The gap is up to 2.3 seconds. Richard Muscat 3rd, falling away and being caught by James Pool. That gap is coming down. 2.7 seconds now between 3rd and 4th. Here in the meantime, you've got Clement Lee in the car that he shares with Paul Wong, coming under attack from Sutiluk Buncharoen. They've traded places, but Buncharoen wants it back again. So this now is for 9th. Clement Lee goes through, Buncharoen right on his tail. Lamborghini Cup leader versus the AM Cup leader. And there around turn 1 goes Clement Lee, former GT racer. Drove in China GT briefly last season in the Lotus. So what progress now from Yusup Pohaka? He's in 8th place, but he's got to make up 24.5 seconds against this leading car. Then you put it in the context of Pro-Am, Evan Chen. He's 14 seconds back, so it's still left Nico Escalanen with a lot of work to do. Pohaka now has really got to blast on and try and bring down that gap. Richard Muscat chases now the leader, because that is Afik Yazid, who has made a mistake coming out of turn 9. Afik Yazid has lost it. He doesn't often make mistakes, but that's a costly one because the car does get going, but badly delayed. So Afik Yazid then comes now through turn 8 into turn 9. And so the reason Richard Muscat was chasing the leader was because there is nobody between him and Artur Janos anymore. Afik Yazid exit stage left, and it means that you've got Janos, Muscat, Pool now the top 3. So a penalty takes Pohaka out of it, and then a spin puts Afik Yazid into strife, and he rejoins just ahead of Pohaka here. So the Malaysian is ahead of the Finn. They run nose to tail out of turn 13 on lap 7 of this 10th round of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. The run down that back straight, speed building all the time. Can Pohaka find a way past Afik Yazid? And also, what is this going to do to the chances for Keiko Zolino in the second part of the race? Badly delayed, as I say, down towards the hairpin. Come now. Yazid just fending off Pohaka. Platio ahead of Leipert. Janos to Muscat, 6.4 seconds, the leading margin. James Pool is 3rd, still closing on Richard Muscat. Evan Chen runs 4th. Then it is Ochiai in 5th. 6th is Max Weiser. 7th Yazid. Then 8th is Pohaka. So Afik Yazid 25 seconds back now from the race leader. It was a time-consuming spin, that is for sure. Number 11 then, rounds turn 1. And up front, Artur Janos now still building this advantage. Richard Muscat, try as he might, cannot go after him. The gap is not coming down. So as the cars turn through turn 8, there number 63, Artur Janos, controls things up front. The margin, 6.4 seconds now. Hard on the brakes, down towards turn 10 comes 63. Arthur Llanos now just has to try and build this gap as best he can, try and pull clear. And that Andrea Amici preserved that into the second part of the race. Not only has he had his spin, but Afik Yazid is also now being warned about track limits. Drivers are getting ready already for their stint, which is going to be coming up in 3 minutes' time, 3.5 minutes or so before the pit window opens. Afik Yazid fending off Youssef Pohaka, but because he's having to defend, he's losing time relative to Max Weiser, who is ahead of him. Max Weiser, who will give way to Kumar Prabhakaran in the Iletso Motorsports car. Now, Weiser needs to stay in that for as long as possible because he's the quicker of the two. Heading down towards turn 14, there is Max Weiser, recovering after his spin as well, don't forget. So there you've got three quick drivers, Weiser, Yazid and Pohaka, all of whom have been in the wars a bit in this race so far. So Llanos goes through, he leads. Richard Muscat, again, has kind of plateaued. He just cannot get closer, and the gap continues to widen by about a second now, lap after lap. So does the Leipert car have a problem? James Poole is getting closer. That gap's down to a second and a half. In fourth place is Evan Chen. In fifth place there, look, you can see going through is the car of Ochiai. Toshiyuki Ochiai goes through fifth. Sixth after his spin, Max Weiser. Seventh will be Afik Yazid after his spin. And eighth after his drive-through is Youssef Pohaka. We're on lap 9. And the pit window is just about 2 minutes away from opening here. In the classes, the Lamborghini Cup class still being led by Clement Lee, and the AMS still being led by Sutiluk Buncharoen, or Bobby Sutiluk as he prefers. So there's number 63, Arthur Llanos, then making this look pretty easy at the moment. His advantage is over 7 seconds. Runner-up in this championship last year, and already this season, 4 victories have gone the way of Llanos and Amici. Last year, Arthur shared for the main with Toby Sowry. Comes down now into the braking zone. There is Richard Muscat, who has really been caught now by James Poole. So you get the feeling that there's something not right with the second place car, number 2, that of Richard Muscat, because the time has ebbed away, and what was a commanding advantage over James Poole has just disappeared in the space of a couple of laps. Now James can concentrate his efforts on trying to find a way up and past him. Down towards turn 14 they come then. Not quite together, but the gap is dwindling all the time as they head towards turn 14 now. To 11, the leading car, and tries to bring down that gap as the pit window is open, and in comes number 30 then. This is for Takemichi Matsuda to give way to Daiyoshi Hara, and from the Lamborghini Cup part of the race, in now comes car number 30. So in it comes, number 30 down the pit road, and number 30 will serve the mandatory stop. And the driver change takes place 83 seconds line to line if you are a double driver entry. If you're a soloist, it's 86 seconds. And there is another double driver entry, which is Arthur Llanos and Andrea Amici, with the gap coming down for second place behind Muscat to pull 0.8 of a second. That was all that was between them at the start of this lap. Richard Muscat, I think, might be quite glad to get out of this stint, really, but puts the pressure on Ben Gersakowski, his co-driver, because he's going to have to do the hard work against their number 19, which will put Jack Bartholomew, the Middle East champion, behind the wheel. So over the timing line has just gone the race leader, and Afik Yazid being given a warning flag about track limit abuse at turn 16. There's the second and third duel. They're staying out. There is Yazid ahead of Pohaka as they come down to the hairpin at turn 14. Up towards the completion for them of lap number 10. They will come in a moment. As they do so, we see Arthur Llanos leading by 9 seconds, and there's one for the pit lane. It is Ochiai who is in, so gives up 5th over the timing line, and Team Katayama ready to go through the process of the pit stop. Out will get Toshiyuki Ochiai, in will get Takeshi Matsumoto. Quick driver Matsumoto, so let's see what he can do in this Pro-Am car as the leader blasts on for the FFF racing team. There up front, Arthur Llanos looking strong. Ochiai, work done. Got to take off his crash helmet. All smiles. Yesterday got biffed into a spin, but a good stint today. Plays to the gallery, takes on some liquid, and we'll watch the car then, which will now be in the hands of Takeshi Matsumoto. carry on the fight in Pro-Am. There then is Artur Janos coming through. Janos has done a very good stint here. Yes, he was helped by the fact that Pohaka got the penalty, but even so, it was a good start for Janos, and turns his way then now down into the hairpin at turn 14. Richard Muscat using all of the road in second place as he desperately tries to keep James Poole behind him. But whilst they're starting to get themselves together, this is playing into the hands of the race leader, building this margin. 9 seconds it is. Is James Poole yet close enough to have a go at Richard Muscat? Let's have a look as they come down towards the braking zone. I think the answer is going to be no. At least for now. Turn their way out of the hairpin. Now, is this battle going to be decided on the track, or is it going to be on pit stops? Let's see, is Muscat coming in? Yes, he is! So the second place car dives for the pit lane, and that's, for the moment, the battle over in the air scoop. That's all cleaned out as well while you've got the time on your side. As Ben Gersakowski in the background chases on behind this car of the race leaders in real terms. Andrea Amici now behind the wheel, and Artur Janos that did that first stint. Coming then out of turn 14 now, onto the power once again. So Janos it is up front. Sorry, Amici it is in Janos's car. The best of those that have made a pit stop. And let's have a look at what the gap is over Ben Gersakowski in second place. It's going to be a large gap, isn't it? Only there, look, in the background is number 2. Can he jump ahead, though, of Jack Bartholomew? Let's see. The FFF Racing Team car rejoins, and he's going to stay ahead then as he comes onto the circuit. So Ben Gersakowski with work to do. Jack Bartholomew now then on his outlap, but stays ahead on the pit stops, therefore. That car gains 1 spot. James Poole went longer, but has gained ahead of number 2, the Leipert car. 44 will now be Paul Wong behind the wheel, serving the stop. And there, look, Mikko Escalanen rejoins the race, or 33 rejoins the race now with Escalanen at the wheel, but behind Kei Cozzolino. Now, Cozzolino has got a big mountain to climb here, and we'll see what the gap is next time through. Give everybody a chance to get a flying lap under their belt, then the order will settle down, and we'll see who's going to be where. But 63 will be the leading car, no question. Andrea Amici with the dominant first stint from Artur Janos, carrying on the good work here. Got the road to himself as well. One of the things that the Asian Championship drivers always find at the World Finals is just how busy the road can be, because the entries here are strong, but not as strong as Europe. And so when you put them all together, it does become very, very hectic indeed. Their number 11 goes through, which is Kei Cozzolino. 59 here is down to second of the AMs now. Cecilia Buncharan, the Thai driver, has fallen behind Chao Pan, who was the category winner yesterday. There is Gersakowski chasing after Jack Bartholomew, the Middle East champion. So there are still things to play out with a further 19 minutes of the race to go. But up front, it does rather look game over, doesn't it, as far as the race lead is concerned. Andrea Amici and Artur Janos so far ahead of anybody else now. There goes number 2. Ben Gersakowski at the wheel. The Wilson Security colours on this Leipert run. Carl Leipert, another of the teams regularly to be found in the European Championship as well as in the Asian Series. Over the timing line goes Andrea Amici then, and that flying lap was a 2 minutes 9, so a steady lap. Behind him, Bartholomew to Gersakowski, 0.6 of a second, and you can see the way that Ben Gersakowski is charging along. In 4th place now, 68 there, Akihiro Asai. Behind him, it is Takeshi Matsumoto. And then in 6th place, Kei Cozzolino. Now, he's got to make up 26.5 seconds. He is lapping quicker than the race leader, intriguingly. So Cozzolino, yes, it's a big ask, but he's going the right way about it. There through turn 6 goes Amici, heading for, it seems, win number 5. More drivers being warned about track limits. One is Ben Gersakowski, and the other, in number 30, fresh into the car, in fact, is Daiya Yoshihara. Through goes number 19, Jack Bartholomew. Still under pressure from Ben Gersakowski. Jack Bartholomew, who, having raced in the BRDC F4 Championship for a season, then went into GT racing in Britain, the British GT4 class in the GT4 in the GT Championship, and then switched his attention to Lamborghinis. So He's now spent quite a bit of time with a roof over his head, having raced in the Middle East and on occasions in the Asian Championship last year. Middle East champion at the start of this season. Jack Bartholomew accelerates through turn 13. And is he getting away from Ben Gosakowski now that he's settled into a rhythm? I think the answer is yes. It is just slightly extending that gap, isn't it? The race leader, though, still clear of everybody else. Andrea Amici in the background, 4th and 5th are getting themselves together, because now, look, you've got the car of Akihiro Asai, the green, white and red car, just now being caught a little bit more by Takeshi Matsumoto. They are closing on one another as they come down towards turn 14, and actually Gosakowski, under braking, looks like he also might have just gained a little bit of time back against Bartholomew. The leader goes through, no such worries at all for Andrea Amici. Well clear now of anybody else. Through in second place goes Bartholomew. He's 11 tenths up on Gosakowski. And then behind it's Asai and Matsumoto, and the gap between them is just 4 tenths of a second. Ken Cozzolino should be next, and he goes over the timing line, 25.2 seconds adrift. He's taken over a second out of Andrea Amici's advantage for the lead, but of course, as soon as he catches cars, he's going to struggle to get through the traffic. Mikko Escalanen, in contrast, is dropping away. He's lapping a chunk slower than those ahead of him. Could Escalanen be caught? Not by Kumar Prabhakaran, I wouldn't have thought. He's the next one in the queue, but certainly Escalanen is dropping back. So the race leading car is on lap 16, and this battle is for honours in Pro-Am, where Akihiro Asai tries to fend off now the challenge of Takeshi Matsumoto. Akihiro Asai, very experienced driver, Japanese Formula 4, he's raced in the States, in the Toyota Atlantic Series, he's had a spell in Australia racing in Formula Holden, raced in Japan, raced in the Supercar Thailand Series, so there's a lot of experience for Akihiro Asai, and he's hanging on to the place for the moment, although Matsumoto is closing up under braking here. Takeshi Matsumoto in number 38, inching up onto the back. Through they turn, heading out of turn 13 now. This battle is for 4th place overall, but for Pro-Am honours, for points in Pro-Am, trying to make hay here with the dramas for the class leaders in the championship, Escalanen and Puhaka. Akihiro Asai goes defensive, moves across the road, makes sure that there's no gap on the inside for Matsumoto, who creeps back towards the outside. Can he then get the undercut as they break for turn 14 into the hairpin? He's going to try maybe to tighten the line and get up the inside, but even if that works, it'll be the outside line for the next corner. Can't do it. They sprint their way now up towards the left at turn 16. What have we got left? 14 minutes on the clock still. Through they turn once again. Great fight raging on here. Akihiro Asai is doing a very good job maintaining this advantage, but then goes a little bit wide, does he? There was half an advantage up the inside. Matsumoto tries to go for it. They lean on each other, and Matsumoto does go through. He now leads in Pro-Am as they turn down towards turn 3. Akihiro Asai made ever such a tiny slip, just ran a little bit wide, and that was all that was needed to give Matsumoto that opportunity up the inside, and through he has gone into the lead of the class now. So a very opportunistic move. It's paid off for him, and paid off in style. Through he goes, takes over the advantage now on this, the 17th lap of the race. And not only now has, look, Matsumoto gone ahead of Asai, but he's also going in pursuit of Gosakowski. This could be a change yet for 3rd place. Matsumoto could get onto terms with Gosakowski before the very end of the race, now the way that he's going. So the leaders accelerate through for lap 17, and in Pro-Am we've had this class lead change. Matsumoto goes ahead of Asai now. Kei Cozzolino is still running in 6th place overall, lapping quicker than everybody ahead of him. As FFF Racing Team, though, they look on, see what's happening for, at the moment, a 1-2 finish. Things are looking good here for the team. Amici leading Bartholomew. They had a 1-2 finish at Sepang in round 2, same order. Amici and Janos ahead of Bartholomew and Poole. So it could be a second 1-2 finish of the season for the FFF Racing team. There, though, is the absolutely flying Matsumoto. Not only has he got past and he's pulling away from Asai, but he's certainly closing on Ben Gersakowski now. And again, it makes you wonder whether all is well with that car. It's just looked a little bit undercooked in this race. Number 2, there it is. Ben Gersakowski down towards turn 1, but he's only now 11 tenths up on Matsumoto. Song Yang Fu, incidentally, you can just see the car in the pit lane. Came in, didn't go out again. So Patron, the team owner, is seemingly a retirement because the pit window shut a long time ago, and whatever the problem is, I'm afraid it has struck the Lamborghini Cup entry. It is not, though, affecting the top 2 outright cars from FFF Racing Team. There is Song Yang Fu in the pit road, the car going nowhere. Family's up close, but I'm afraid the car's not going anywhere. With 11 minutes to go, Andrea Amici is looking good for win number 5 of the season. An excellent job done by Artur Janos in that first stint, and here also by Andrea Amici. There he is, down towards turn 10, and then through 11 into the little kink at 12. And loop your way around, run out wide on the power, use the banking, and then as the road straightens out, flattens out, flicks you back into line, as it were, down towards turn 14. Matsumoto then chases Gersakowski behind. Let's just see what that gap is. It's going down, so Matsumoto half a second quicker in the first sector alone than Ben Gersakowski. We've done 17 laps. It was 23 that we got in yesterday's race. And there, hard on the brakes, down towards the turn 14 hairpin. It is Andrea Amici looking so strong up front. Over the timing line goes Andrea Amici. That puts 18 laps in the book. And now you can see what's going on for third place. Gersakowski under huge attack from Matsumoto, the Australian versus the Japanese driver. Both of them put the power down as early as they can. The cars squirm a little bit as they blast now up towards the timing line once again. Nervous faces look on in the pit lane. But up front, it is Amici from Bartholomew. It's Gersakowski third, but only just. Matsumoto is fourth as they go deep into the corner. Gersakowski goes wide. Matsumoto tries to get up on the inside line. The door closes, but then the road comes back to Gersakowski down towards turn 3, but he goes a little bit deep. You drop down the hill, of course, going into that corner, and then climb once more the other side. Not too steep a climb. Head up now towards the right-hander at turn 6. These two nose to tail. Asai dropping back a little bit from Matsumoto in that 5th place. Cosolino was 26 seconds back from the leader. He's now 22. So there you can see in the background of the shot, Kei Cosolino is closing, but I'm not sure he's going to get there in time. By the time he does catch anybody, will probably be running out of laps for him to make much further progress. There, a little bit deep goes Gersakowski. The car looking twitchy now. The pressure is being applied. The pressure is being absorbed for the minute, but for how much longer? Gersakowski trying to hang on to third place overall. He will stay third in the pros. Cosolino is the next person that could catch him, but ideally Gersakowski does not want anybody to overtake, irrespective of which class they're running in. Turns now through the right-hander of turn 12 into 13, a little bit wide, and the power not on perhaps as quickly as it was there from Matsumoto. So the Japanese driver in number 38, the green car there, gets the slingshot out of the corner, tries to get onto the back as they make the run towards the hairpin. This surely is the moment that it's going to come for Matsumoto now. So as he brakes for turn 14, is there going to be a chance to dive up the inside? This car from the Hojas Racing team up from the 4th row of the grid, goes to the outside line, but the Lippert car also from the 4th row just hangs onto the place. Now can Matsumoto get the undercut? Can he get up alongside coming out of the corner? Yes, he can. He's alongside. Has he done it? Yes, he has. They touch. But Matsumoto on the outside line takes the place, but back on the inside at 16 goes Ben Gersakowski, runs wide over the curb. Great battle between these two. Over the timing line, side by side they go. Down towards turn 1 on the inside line. Just is Gersakowski on the outside line. It is the all-green car in the hands of Matsumoto. Can he go all the way around the outside? No, he cannot. Gersakowski goes wide, door is opened, through goes Matsumoto. That was all that was needed. Just a little bit too much speed. Carried into turn one by Ben Gersakowski. He ran out wide, and as he ran wide, the door was left open. Thank you, says Matsumoto, and he goes through, takes the place. So it's some stint this. Takeshi Matsumoto climbing up the order. So he's third overall, and he leads in Pro-Am now. Andrea Amici still having this lonely race up front. I just wonder now whether Akihiro Asai might be able to do anything about catching Gersakowski. Another good battle is going on here. Paul Wong up the inside line. On the outside is Kumar Prabhakaran, and Wong goes through into 9th place. Pro-Am entry slips behind Lamborghini Cup entry. The Lamborghini Cup for drivers that haven't really raced anything before coming into this series, with very limited experience. But you can't have a pro with you. You've got to be two, effectively, gentleman racers. So that's why Prabhakaran gets into Pro-Am, because he's got Max Weiser with him. But a good move by Paul Wong, and he goes through up into the lead of that class, but into 10th place overall. The opposition is Gabriele Moroni, who's quite a long way back at the moment. The race leader is on lap 20. 6 minutes to go. Checkered flag goes out. The first time the leader crosses the line once the 50 minutes are up, and Amici leads Bartholomew by 14 seconds. Now Bartholomew is perhaps going to be caught by Matsumoto. We will see what that gap is. There's Kei Cozzolino in the meantime getting onto the back of Akihiro Asai. So really you've got 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th and 6th starting to bunch up a bit. Cozzolino could gain 1 place before the very end. Over the timing line has gone the race leader, 14.5 seconds ahead of Jack Bartholomew. Cozzolino is way out wide there at turn 16. That'll incur the wrath of officialdom. Matsumoto is 2.8 seconds back from Bartholomew, and he is lapping quicker. Only by tenths, but he is lapping quicker. There, 88 round the outside is Gabriele Moroni. He will also go ahead of Kumar Prabhakaran, and that puts him up into 11th place. Gabriele Moroni, the Italian that does the bulk of his racing in Asia, goes through, takes the place. Gabriele Moroni comes down towards turn 11. There's the race leader, Andrea Amici, looking oh so strong up front. So Amici and Archio Llanos dominant in this race. And seemingly there's another win just around the corner, barring any disaster now. Virtually home and dry, aren't they? Gabriele Moroni, just a quick word about the Italian. He lives in Monte Carlo, but does a lot of his business out here, so races in the Asian and Middle East Championships. Well, we've just got one car that's gone over the line slowly. Now, who was that? That might have been the Bianho Chao Pan car that seemed to be struggling for a gear as it went over the timing line, running in the lead of the AM category. So it's a significant car. Does not need a problem. Susanuk Vencharoen is the second of the AMs, being caught by Paul Wong. The leader, Andrea Amici, then accelerates towards turn 14, just ticking off the corners, ticking off the laps. In the background is the sister car in the hands of Jack Bartholomew. And then for 3rd place, now Takeshi Matsumoto, who in the first sector was quicker, in the second sector much quicker. He's pulled back 6/10 on this lap, and he had 2.8 seconds to make up. So it's certainly going in the right direction for the Pro-Am category leader. The way that he's going suggests that there could be 2nd place outright before the very end. Can he scupper the FFF Racing Team's chances of an outright 1-2? So Andrea Amici already gone by. We've got 3 minutes and change on the clock. They're in 2nd place. Jack Bartholomew goes through, and Matsumoto is 2.1 seconds behind him. In 4th place, it's Gersakowski. 5th now is Cozzolino, up ahead of Akihiro Asai. So that change has happened for 5th place. Andrea Amici continues to dominate in Lamborghini racing, accelerating his way now for the 22nd time up towards the completion of the lap. And the man that started off in karts, raced in Formula Renault in Italy, in the Seat Cupra Championship in Italy, then moved on to Porsches. He was the 2013 Super Trofeo champion in Europe. Had a spell in Italian GT, had a spell in Blancpain Endurance, came back to winning championships in 2016 as the GT Asia champion. But Andrea Amici still loyal to Lamborghini and still successful in the Raging Bulls. He's going to come now up towards the completion of lap 22 and will start his last lap, because there is now less than a lap time left in the race. Number 11, Kay Cozzolino, is being given his final warning. Remember, we saw him running very, very wide a few moments ago. Well, Afik Yazid had been running wide earlier on, and so now Rabin, the race director, has rather had enough, and so the threat has come. Final warning. Well, it's not going to matter too much unless it's a time penalty applied post-race, because we're about to start the last lap. Andrea Amici up front then. Through he comes, heading towards the line, and the last lap board is there to greet him. Through he goes. And the race leader onto the very last lap of the race with this huge margin. And there, into the pit lane, comes Chao Pan. Remember I said there was a car that went slowly past the pits? Well, that was it. And a lap later, it comes in. So it's a transmission-related problem, seemingly. And that means that the AM class leaders and winners of yesterday lose out on a possible second victory of the weekend, as now Gersakowski's got Cozzolino right up behind him as they start this last lap. Gersakowski again goes wide, as we've seen him do before, turning out of turn 1 and turn 2, but he manages to hang on to the place. Nose to tail they run, on the run now to turn 5. Ben Gersakowski desperately trying to hang on to that 4th place. Can he survive there? Together they run. On the outside line now goes Kay Cozzolino, this car that he shares with Afik Yazid. Had that spin early on. Without it, makes you wonder whether it could have been a race winner with Cozzolino's pace, but Afik Yazid's spin was a costly one. Here they come, nose to tail. For the last time, it is just Gersakowski ahead. Can he stay there as they come in towards turns 9 and 10 now? Through the left-hander, short straight. Through turn 10. And now this run to 11. Speed building all the time here. The checkered flag, though, is going to be made ready. Andrea Amici, the race leader, making his run towards another victory. It'll be win number 5 for Amici this season. He and Arcio Llanos then extend the lead in the championship, heading to Amici's home ground, back to Italy for the next 2 races of the Asian Championship as part of the World Final weekend. Qualify Thursday, race Friday in the regional championships, and then the World Final Saturday, Sunday. Behind, look, Gersakowski and Cozzolino were side by side. We'll come back to that in a moment. First of all, it's the 5th win to record this year for Andrea Amici and Arcio Llanos as the car goes across the line to head home at FFF Racing Team 1-2. For second place, Jack Bartholomew and James Paul will hang on. Bartholomew is going to take second. Third is going to be Matsumoto, who will win in Pro-Am. And then who is going to be 4th then? Is it going to be orange? Is it going to be blue? It's both. They're side by side. And there, running very wide, is Cozzolino. He got roughed up a bit there by Ben Gersakowski on the inside line. The Australian takes 4th. The Japanese driver takes 5th. Gersakowski and Muscat then 4th. Cozzolino and Yazid 5th, ahead of Akihiro Asai and Evan Chen to round out the top 6. Very, very close indeed, right at the very end there as they came across the line together. So a race win for Andrea Amici and Arcio Llanos, second to Jack Bartholomew and James Paul, third and Pro-Am honours going the way of Takeshi Matsumoto and Toshiyuki Ochiai. The winning Lamborghini Cup car, that of Paul Wong and Clement Lee, and the leading AM, the winning AM in the end, Sutiluk Buncharoen, benefiting from the demise of Bian Ho and Chao Pan. Andrea Amici and Arcio Llanos win for the 5th time this year in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. Championship lead increased, and then it's time to prepare themselves for the final 2 races at an all-new venue, certainly for the Lamborghini World Finals, because the Asian Championship heads next to Europe. The last 2 races will be at Vallelunga. For now, though, from Shanghai, from David Addison, bye-bye.